It is refreshing to have a series where the main protagonist is not a good guy. But Kenny, Hank did nothing wrong! He only does wrong things. Well, that's just your opinion, and your opinion sucks! Get out of my room. Alright, fine. Enjoy living in ignorance. Hank's not a good person. Madness Combat's settings get increasingly complex. We go from a park in episode 1 to a fireman's pocket dimension in episode 11. The variety is very much appreciated. From the start, we have a decent weapon variety. We have a grenade, guns, and even a cannon. This guy. Putting Jesus in the first episode was a great way to show how seriously this series should be taken, which is not at all. Starting from Madness Combat 2, this series does a great job of showing you that smoking is bad and will get you killed. Madness Combat 2 is the first episode where a plot begins to emerge, which makes the series a lot more interesting. The fact that all these people on these posters are indistinguishable is pretty funny, since it's impossible to tell grunts apart from their appearance alone. Or maybe Hank is the person featured on these posters, which is also pretty funny, because it shows how much the sheriff really hates him. Tricky. Also, throwing a clown into the mix was a great way to introduce some enemy variety. Vertical fight scene? Sign me up. These thick grunts may seem like an animation oversight, but they are actually a clever detail put in by Crinkles to represent Nevada's obesity rate. Source? Dude, trust me. The improbability drive makes Madness Combat a lot more interesting. The falling whales in the background reference A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, so you know Crinkles has good taste. The death of the sun not only makes the world physically darker, but metaphorically darker as well. Very clever, and that totally wasn't Crinkles just being random. Halo physics. Music by Sean Hodges. I hadn't realized this until watching the series again for this video, but Madness 4 is the third episode in a row where the episode begins with smokers being killed. Just a little interesting detail for you. And no, I am not saying that if you smoke, you deserve to die. I am just giving this a win for the details, the consistency. Let's move on. This massacre is probably the most satisfying scene in the early Madness episodes. I take it back. This one is better. Hank is accurately described as the protagonist, as opposed to the hero. But Hank did nothing wrong. Just stop, okay? He's a bad guy. These agents have the fastest reaction time I have ever seen. The second Jeb gets shot, they are down there and ready to go. Best minions ever. This is the definitive Madness 1v1. After seeing Hank tear through everything in his path for the last 5 episodes, it's a nice change of pace to see 2 characters struggling to make their way through a building. Also, this is the first episode which features 2 protagonists fighting in the same scene. This makes the episode a lot more rewatchable. You can watch it once as a general viewing, a second time to see what Sanford is doing, and a third time to see what Deimos is doing, and probably 100 more times because you just like Madness. Teamwork. It's pretty humorous how Tricky thinks Jeb's head is the source of his power. Conductor Tricky. Madness 6 Hank still haunts my dreams. Congratulations on making a character so memorable. Vendors are never killed. What else do you want me to say? That's a good thing. Funny shopping segment. Madness Combat 7 is widely considered the best episode in the series, and for good reason. It has a much more serious tone than the other episodes, with Hank running and fighting for his life from a fire demon who wants him to suffer. Madness Combat 7 is also one of the only episodes in the series where regular agents pose a genuine threat to Hank, as he is shot twice by them. Again, this episode is super gritty, and I love it. Creative kill. Mag Agent Torture, aka Mag Agent How Are You Still Alive? You get a cool helmet. The auditor knows how to properly advertise. Chainsaw. Badass monologue. Jeb gets an entire episode dedicated to him, which is well earned. Jebs, you're going to Brazil, attack. Jebs, you're going to Brazil, attack. Jebs, you're going to Brazil, attack. This epic scene where Jeb assembles his sniper rifle while dodging the Mag Agent's attacks. Probably the best shot in Madness 8. It screams imminent death. An Experiment is a flawless episode. The concept is hilarious, yet horrifying. Seriously, what is there to complain about here? Madness Combat 9 features the best escort mission ever. Hank's corpse is a surprisingly helpful companion. Similar to Madness Combat 7, it feels like there are actual stakes here. The protagonists in this episode are by no means invulnerable. Especially Deimos. Deimos is a fan-favorite character, and nobody wants to see his body be vandalized. So it was incredibly generous of Crinkles to make it so that Deimos' body is conveniently not affected by this. Madness Combat 9.5 Part 1, and probably Part 2, provide some valuable insight towards Hank's personality. Here is what everybody knows about Hank. He is terrified of Tricky, and he enjoys killing. Madness Combat 9.5 Part 1, and again, probably Part 2, expand on Hank's personality, and now we can see that Hank is terrified of Tricky and enjoys killing. Well, it was a good idea in theory. Hank's increased size makes it so that he can't perform agile or clever kills anymore. Madness Combat 10 and 11 remedy this by having Sanford fight alongside him. And while Sanford is not quite as skilled as normal-sized Hank, it is refreshing to see somebody who can at least partially fill in that gap left by Hank. Rock, paper, scissors. You know what I just said about Hank being unable to perform clever kills anymore? Forget I said anything. With the death of Sanford's hook, I think it's only appropriate that we give it some praise. Sanford's hook was such a unique melee weapon because not only did it have close range functionality, but it was extremely effective at a range as well. The hook, in tandem with other weapons, made for some of the best kills in the series. We'll miss you, Hookie. The entirety of Madness Combat 11. It's so good that I gave it more wins than sins in my video dedicated to sins. Of course, I might be biased because I waited almost 8 years for it, but still. Deimos' adventure through Purgatory is a surprisingly emotional one, especially with how Madness is a series based around mindless killing. We can see and feel how, well, powerless Deimos is. It also has some intriguing lore implications and a satisfying payoff. Hank purposefully picks up one of the least effective weapons in order to give himself a challenge. Disrespecting Hank. Watching Mag Agent Torture make his way through this base of grunts is something I never knew I wanted. Both the concept and the execution of this incident are flawless. This works. Hank ordering a soda. Tricky taking a piece of the cake that was supposed to belong to the guy he just killed is the most tricky thing ever. The incident based around Jeb's killing of the sinners is 3 minutes, 16 seconds long on YouTube. This is extremely fitting because, well, I'll let the Madness Combat Wiki explain that. Crinkles teases us by making us think we are not going to see the minigun in action, and then he cuts the credits short so we could see the minigun in action. Bullet drop. Crinkles did Battle Royale before the genre was popular. The power of the mind! Apparently, pointing both of your pointer fingers at somebody in Nevada is the most insulting thing you could possibly do. Suplex. The way this guy crawls. Real quick, at the end of this video, I would like to give one massive win to the Madness community for doing a whole bunch of good things. Madness Combat has exposed a bunch of artists and musicians. Well, I guess musicians are artists too, but you know what I mean. And brought them to the front light. I mean that in a good way. I don't mean exposed like Cheshire exposed, cancelled 2021. I mean like, you know, exposed, you know what I mean. Also, it's brought about great friendships and just connections between groups and communities. And I'm just thankful that Crinkles was able to create this brotherhood of sorts between people. All right, this is going on for way too long, and I need a script when I start doing this stuff, because clearly when I don't have a script, I just ramble about nonsense and like, you know what, I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye. After seeing Hank tear through everything in his path for the last 5 Hello, YouTube.